Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, I've decided I'm going to revisit a bit of a classic that I really enjoyed playing a few years ago, and I call it a classic. It's a reason. No, I can't really. I was going to say it's a reasonably recent game, but that's because I played the first edition back in the oh gosh, whenever the Heroes series by Devil Pig Games first came out. And I was feeling a tiny bit nostalgic recently because those of us who are fans of the game remember what an awesome run it had in the early days. I, of course, had the original edition, but this was pretty much all the varieties you had. You had the original Heroes of Normandy, and then Heroes of Stalingrad came out. There was the Cthulhu option. So I think mainly I missed playing this, and it's not just because it's been a long time since I've made any videos about it, but I just really had the feeling that I wanted to revisit it. I know that the community on Facebook and YouTube is thriving, so I am still optimistic, even though it's been a year and a half, I think, since Devil Pig Games officially folded. Someday I hope someone will invest and take an interest in this game and bring it back to our table. But in any case, I really just wanted to make this video, I think partly for myself. Well, I mean, I do this because I enjoy it, but also for the benefit of any of you guys who might never have seen this game before and appreciating it's a bit hard to find copies of it these days. Um, I hoped, but just by, giving myself a bit of a Saturday night treat, I would also hopefully convey some of the excitement and the fun that this system contains, because it is quite a wonderful system and it deserves, well, it certainly has plenty of recognition, but it deserves to remain in our memories, I think, and in our consciousness so that, we for what good it will do, we as fans of Devil Pig Games and the Heroes series will be able to fly the flag for it. So what I've done is, just because I thought it'd be fun, I've set up the opening scenario, which was also incidentally the teaching scenario for the Battle of Stalingrad. Here we go. Here's the lovely, gorgeous, very wonderfully cartoony artwork for Heroes of Stalingrad's rulebook. No prizes for guessing what movie might have inspired that one. Yes, I did watch Enemy at the Gates recently. That's probably why I've decided to do this. So, in the vein that will be very familiar to players of the Heroes series, the opening scenario is often one that, from the perspective of the poor bloody infantry, metaphorically speaking, is what the heck are we doing here, and why is this piece of real estate so valuable? Well, might both sides ask the question, because in this short and rather brutal scenario, there is only one objective, and that's to be the side in control of that marker over there. Now, the reason this is not fun for anybody concerned is because there's very little cover. This is in a largely open and devastated part of the city. The Germans who are on this side, they do have some cover afforded by a small wooded area, but it's not brilliant. It's probably the remains of a park or something. And over on the Russian side, they've got a couple of handy shell craters to hide in, but that is it. So, for both sides, victory can only be gained by risking an infantry unit on one of these four squares here. So, what forces are both sides bringing to the party? Well, I'll have a look at the Russians to begin with. Let's just zoom in on them. I really should say Soviets more correctly. So here we have an element of the Volga Rifle Battalion. Ignore that, except for the presence of the DP machine gun unit. I just put it in there to remind me that the machine gunners generate a star for command and control purposes. For the rest of it, excuse me, we have the basic squad lineup for this tile with two fire teams, a unit of Frontovic and the lieutenant. And the bonus the Russians have is extra ammunition. Their starting hand, two cards. They've got Thank the Helmet and Weak Point. Now, of course, we're not engaging armored vehicles, but one reason I like Heroes of Stalingrad and how it improved on the original Heroes of Normandy is they introduced the concept of the dual use card. So you didn't have to go through the faff of removing cards for non-vehicle scenarios. It was a nice touch. Now, the German side is pretty straightforward. It's Panzer Grenadier elements from the 1st Battalion and 24th Panzer Division, 26th Regiment thereof. And they have the straightforward force with no frills. They've got their lieutenant, they've got a pair of fire groups, and they've got the MG-34. They've got their own equivalent of weak point. Now, unlike the Soviet one, which gives the Soviets a shooting bonus, theirs gives them a close combat bonus. And they've also got opportunity fire, which is a potentially useful card to have. What about dispositions on the battlefield? So the Soviets start, and I was following the lineup as given in the scenario book. I haven't done my own placements. So we've got the DP machine gun unit undeployed over there. Got the one of the two fire teams in the center and the Frontovic on the right. And we've got Lieutenant Yuri back there. And holding the Russian right flank is the other fire team. The Germans are a bit more spread out. They've got one fire team all the way up in that side there. And the rest of their force is concentrated down here. So you've got Vollrath leading the group there, fire group, and the MG-34. So how is this going to work out? Let's just zoom out so I can show you a more meaningful view of the battlefield. Now the scenario, sorry, camera stand failure. Getting a bit overexcited, aren't I? So the scenario did not specify one side having the initiative, so I rolled off and the Russians won. See, I'm doing it again. The Soviets won. And so they will place their order tokens first. Now, trying my best to be neutral. I'm not using the solo mode. It is a wonderful, wonderful system, the solo mode, but sometimes I just fancy playing both sides as best I can, and this is one of those evenings. So here we go. I think, as the Soviets, I'm going to do a little push on the right flank, and I'm also tempted to bring Yuri just a little bit forward. Can't quite explain why, but I think I have a plan. It may not be a very good plan. Those of you who know my play style well will know that I'm famous for doing weird and wonderful things that are generally not very advised. So as for the Germans, I think... oh, and of course, because I'm solitairing this, I'm not bothering to put the order tokens face down. I'll just stick them face up for ease of play. As the Germans, I think the first move will probably go to that fired group there. But I'd also like the lieutenant to get moving with them. So let's see how this plays out. So I am going to start with the infantry group here. I will just move them into the nearest cover. They're just going to occupy that crater. That gets them not quite where they want to be, but a bit closer than they were. Now, as for the fire team here, with their movement of 3, like their Russian colleagues, counterparts, I am just going to dash them forward into the woods. So they got a nice bit of cover there. It's a start. Now, having said I want to do something with Yuri, the question is, what exactly do I want to do with him? Come on, Andrew, this is your stupid plan. He can move slightly faster than his troops. He's got a speed rating of 4, and he can move through them to begin with. I think I might... I might just push him forward to the front of the crater. Is this complete insanity? Probably. But then I think he ought to lead from the front. So that's him. And now his German Oppo, he's got the same speed, 4, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3. He's going to be a bit threatening and get nice and close. Now, am I taking a bit of a risk with the leaders? Yes, I am. But there is a bit of a method to my madness, because you see they've got a high defensive rating. Leaders representing individual men running around with maybe only one or two others are actually quite hard to hit. So I think that's a good way to start them off. I could be proven horribly, horribly wrong, but then, if my play of the Soviets is equally inept, then that might not be such a bad thing. So we've done the basic action phase, and now we just get to the supply phase of the turn. So starting with the Soviets, because they have the initiative, units can move up. Now, just a reminder, a key rule in the Heroes series, which I always forget, it's one of those that often falls out of my brain, is no matter what the circumstances, you cannot win a scenario on turn 1. So it's not really worth anyone trying to occupy those squares just yet, because even if they did, a win on this turn would be impossible. So I'm just going to leave it at that. How to move everyone? Well, I think an obvious one, because they've got a good field of fire over the area, is I will move the Soviet machine gunners forward. And at the end of their move, I will have them deploy. Now, I have been wondering whether to make use of the German opportunity fire card, but the ranges are still a bit great, and I don't want to waste the shot that this represents, because it could be crucial later. I mean, the Russians have a bit of an easier choice, and one reason I'm being a bit sanguine about shoving them around the way I am is because Thank the Helmet is a great way of at least attempting to survive dashing across open spaces. Speaking of which, I am going to take a huge risk and go 1, 2, 3 with that infantry unit. And 1, 2, 3 with the Frontovic. So the Soviets are going to throw in a bit of a human wave attack. Now, this may seem mad as well, probably is, but it does put a bit of pressure on the Germans, because there's a large mass of infantry moving towards the objective. And also the Soviets feel a bit safe about it, because during the supply phase, no shooting can take place. You're just moving units up. So the next one's up. I think for the Germans, what shall I do? I think I'm going to favour their machine gunners a bit. They've only got a movement of 3. What I might do, because they can't actually reach that other bit this turn, is I'm just going to move them a step forward. And like their Russian opposite numbers, they're going to deploy. Now, they don't have a brilliant view of the objective area from here, but they can make a little bit of a nuisance of themselves, certainly if that unit tries anything. They don't have the opportunity fire capability, but, I could always tell them to pack up and move later. The other reason it's worth keeping them there is because it lets this unit up here do a diagonal move following its movement of 3 and get into the woods. So there we go. That's the end of turn 1. Nobody has used any cards, and nobody particularly wants to discard any, so I'll just take these off. And now as we move into turn 2, as is the way with this game, the initiative will shift from the Soviets to the Germans. So maybe my Russian Soviet human wave attack was possibly not such a good idea after all. But let's see what everyone wants to do. Now, the Germans can place their order tokens first. I think this is very, very daring and very risky, because I'm chancing the entirety of the German command and control on this, but I want their lieutenant to be on standby to do stuff, even if it's only shooting at people. And then I want the infantry behind him to be ready to move as well. And on the Russian side, I think I would like, again, let's get Yuri over there on standby. But I definitely want the Frontovic ready to do something. They're quite a fragile unit. I don't have that much regard for the poor Frontovic. I tend to view them as expendable. I don't know whether that's my Soviet brain, but what I want to do with them is not telling the Germans, so I won't speak too loud. I want them to draw the German fire so that that unit is freed up to either make a move or get to a better position. Let's see how this works out. So, following the German order, their officer moves first. Now, he is not actually going to leave his position, but because the Frontovic are in range and the German can see that they've been given an order, he is going to open fire on them. Now, as you can see from the counter, his range is limited to 4 spaces, but that has worked out perfectly for him because they're exactly 4 spaces away and they have no cover. So he is going to blaze away. His attack rating is, sorry, I should have looked, +2. That's pretty impressive. So 2 plus whatever he rolls on 1 dice. 1. Okay. That wasn't so encouraging. I'll just make sure. Yeah, they have a defensive rating of 5. So no, sorry, Herr Oberleutnant, no luck there. So meanwhile, over to me. Now, I had kind of... I had a half-baked notion of something clever to do with the lieutenant, but it's slightly faded. I think what I want to do is tuck him safely behind his men, so he's available as a backstop, but I don't really want him to do anything more dangerous than that. So over to the Germans. I'm going to be quite aggressive with the German second group. They have to forego firing because there's no valid target, but they're going to go 1, 2, 3 and seize that crater. It might result in their hideous demise in a bit, but it has forestalled the Russians from taking that very useful position. So let's see if they're going to be made to pay for it. Now, the question is, how aggressive am I feeling with these Frontovic? They do have an assault bonus, and I'm very tempted to throw in an assault. The only problem is, looking at the Russian hand, I don't have an assault bonus. Maybe I'd be better off just shooting at these guys because they have an assault bonus too. But then equally, maybe I want to go in there and try and clear them out. I don't know. I think it's very annoying for the Soviets because they have just dashed into the crater that I wanted to occupy. I think on balance, it makes more sense to shoot at them, and there's 2 reasons for that. One, assaults in this game, as in so many war games, are incredibly risky. 2, I have a shooty bonus thanks to that. And if I want to up it even further, which I think I will, I'll expend one of my ammo tokens. So let's do that. Let's shoot at them. So I expend the card and I expend the ammo token to give me +2. That's added to my attack strength, which is +2 anyway. Now, Frontovic, like the officers, have a short range. It's only 4, but these guys are well within that. So my attack strength is 4. They are in a crater, which gives them a +1 bonus, so to their defensive rating, very unfortunately for me. So it's 4 plus whatever I roll, 7 altogether. This unit's defensive rating is 5 for being in the crater, so I do hit them, so we inflict some losses. So the counter is flipped to its weaker side, and the Germans may have achieved a tactical success by seizing an important location on the battlefield, but the Frontovic have just made them pay for it by pouring some fire into their ranks. And that is the end of that. Now, of course, it being turn 2, this area here can now be contested. And the Germans move first because they have the initiative in the non-combat phase, so the supply phase as it's known. So knowing full well what the Russians are about to do, they are going to move a guy 1, 2, 3. Which might actually win the game for them because they've established a zone of control there. The machine gunners are going to pack up and go 1, 2, 3. Join that other position there. Now this has put me in a bit of a fix, unfortunately, because oh crumbs, sorry everybody. That's the second time I've done that. Just retrieve my glasses from the floor. Right, so yes, the Russians, how the deuce am I going to win this? Crumbs, I have to get a unit in there or the Germans have taken this on turn 2, and I'm not entirely sure how I can do that. That will be embarrassing if I've checkmated myself already. Trouble is, you can enter an enemy zone of control, but then you can't move within it. So by shoving that unit forward, the Germans have done themselves a huge, huge solid. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3. No, they can't flank round. 1, 2, 3. And these guys just aren't fast enough. Even if they pack up, they can't make a dash in time to do it. No, I think, despite the fact that the Russians have inflicted heavier losses on the Germans, which is a bit of an unusual outcome, because tactically in the small unit actions, the Germans came ahead slightly above in the early stages of the Stalingrad campaign. So, but unfortunately, despite generating a higher body count in their favor, the Soviets have just been outmaneuvered, and nothing I can do can reverse that German seizure of the position. So I'm afraid, much to the disappointment of Lieutenant Yuri, and I think somebody's going to get shot for this, the Germans have just won the scenario on turn 2. And if that does seem a little bit sudden, there is in fact a warning in the scenario book, which I should have paid a bit more heed to. Well, actually, I did pay heed to it as the Germans. It's as the Russians that I failed in. Yes, here we go. The game can end very quickly if one of the players isn't paying attention. Yes, quite well. Anyway, the less said about that, the better. But there you go, guys. Okay, that was a slightly quicker game of Heroes of Normandy than I was expecting. But I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you have had a few laughs with me along the way. And most importantly, because this is really what I was trying to achieve by getting this set out and just having a quick 20-minute game, I hope that it's just rekindled a desire to play this game again if you haven't played for a while. If you've been playing regularly, then good on you. I hope you continue, and I hope you're either having great fun yourself, either doing this sort of thing or with the solo mode, or you're having great fun either playing head to head or on some of the online tournaments, as I know some of you are doing. So yeah, I hope, as I say, that you've had a couple of laughs with me. I hope you're either patting my German side on the head for his incredible tactical cleverness, um, and shooting pitying looks at my Russian side for the very, very difficult interview I'm going to be having with the Colonel later. Not only letting the Germans gain that crucial foothold, although still crucial, why? um, but letting them do it so quickly. Heads will quite literally roll, I think. Um, but yes, I hope you've enjoyed this. I might come back to doing more of these in the near future, maybe even do a bigger scenario next time, but I'll have a think about it. Yeah, but I hope you've had fun. As always, it's really good to see you guys. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a gap since my last video. Life, as it has a habit of doing, got just a tiny bit busy. But it's always good to see you, and I always appreciate your company. To my long-standing and long-suffering veterans, as always, a huge, huge hello. Your tactical advice, as always, is hugely welcome in things like this. Should I have been a bit more aggressive with the Soviets? Should I have given orders to the troops rather than running the lieutenant around rather uselessly? I must admit that plan was a bit half-baked. Um, what would you have done in my situation? Would you have just thrown what passed for my plan out the window in terms of defeating the Germans? Um, yeah, but to any of you who might be relatively new to my channel, a very warm welcome and a hello to you. If this is my first video that you're watching, they're not always this short and one-sided, but I hope you've enjoyed this. If it's the Heroes of Normandy or the Heroes of Stalingrad series that has brought you here, I hope you've had fun watching this video. And also, I hope having a good laugh at my expense. But if it's wargaming in general that's brought you here, then welcome to my channel. I've covered a few games on this, so please do have a meander and see if there's anything else that you like. I hope you find the videos useful and entertaining. But as ever, guys, whoever you are and wherever you're watching from, thank you so much for the pleasure of your company. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. And thank you so much for indulging me this slightly strange little whim. As I say, I hadn't really planned to do this weekend, but I was just looking over my old hero stuff and feeling a bit nostalgic and whimsical, so I just thought I would record this for you all tonight. But look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Do take care of yourselves, and I hope I'll see you again soon. All best. Bye.